It's the Dadnarok After Show. Now, here's Chris and Sean.
Hello, welcome back to the Halo After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
And tonight we were talking about episode 4 of season 2, titled That's a Reach. No, it's titled Reach.
Sometimes our openings are the roughest part of our shows. It's hilarious.
I don't think it's rough at all.
It's funny though. Yeah, we'll be talking Reach, talking about the the battle that I think we've been foreseeing coming. Pretty much got what we thought. I'm not sure. I'm hoping
Not
it's
exactly. Yeah. I think you and I were thinking, well, you were hoping for a longer stretch.
Yeah, more of a siege type thing. I'm hoping this isn't a one episode in and out type thing.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out in the long run.
Yeah. We're Dadnarok. We do this kind of thing all the dang time. Halo is just one of the shows that we have coverage for. We have tons of stuff in the past. Look through our YouTube channel to find a history of the shows that we've watched before. And maybe, hey, you spot one that you haven't watched, you've always wanted to watch, you want some commentary to go along with each episode. Watch those old episodes of ours. We'd love to have you be a subscriber to our channel as well. We are very close to getting to 500 subscribers, and make it happen for us. We'll get some kind of pat on the back from YouTube, I'm sure. A congratulatory email, something.
We'll get the email. You hit 500, but you're not quite there yet.
Yeah. But yeah, it would really make our day. Anyway, Halo. Okay, so just overall, by the end of this episode, I was pretty blown away, honestly. I thought this was the best episode of Halo so far.
I thought it was a great episode. I thought we got a lot of interaction between characters that we've been needing.
Mm-hmm.
We got the battles and the fight scenes that we were looking forward to.
Yeah.
It was yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved the humanity behind a lot of this episode. And it gave us humanity, and it gave us something that you've mentioned in the past that we weren't getting. And it's a little bit of levity coming from a character that I don't know if earned the levity to be able to give it to us, but the levity was there.
Yeah, I liked it. Was kind of balls to the wall action. Like, I mean, the threat was real and it was coming, and there was lots of shots fired and explosions and people flying in the air and fights, and like it was very action oriented. But in between all those action scenes were these little character bits, these little scenes, just to try to like flesh out the world, flesh out characters, earn a little bit of history and backstory. I loved the pacing of it, and I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen. Like, and every story beat, every action, say like when it went over to Soren. Or it went back over to Master Chief, or it went over to, is Reyes her name? Perez. Yeah. I always get her name wrong. But yeah, each one I wasn't like, watching the clock or anything. Like every one felt important and good.
Dude, under a very underrated member of this whole show, and it's slowly becoming my favorite part of it because I don't think she's going anywhere, is Perez.
Yeah.
I think because she has the military background, but she also, there's a humanity that she has that she connects with that Silver Team and John and everyone don't have that connection to because of the pellet that they had in them for so long.
Right.
So when she's going through and the building blows up with her family in there, she wants to go to her family, or just the fact that she's trying to warn people about what's going on, and John's like, "We have to go." Yeah. And he's like, but we have to warn these people as well. And at a certain point, she kind of realizes what's happening. But like the whole scene with her and John in the apartment with that old lady in her shop.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a one-off, but it was fantastic. And when they were leaving and John's like, she knows, or she understands.
Yeah.
You see it click in Perez's eyes like, oh, okay. She knows she's staying here. She's not leaving her shop. She's not leaving her stuff. She knows this is going to be her, her final resting place.
Yeah, and it's a nice turn on the head because that's something that's very human that she doesn't want to leave. She's been there for 40 years. She finds those objects to be almost sacred, and she wants to go down protecting those things. And maybe Perez just doesn't get it in the moment, but you would assume that maybe Master Chief wouldn't understand, or he would take him longer to understand that than Perez, because that's a very human reaction. But it's funny to watch Master Chief's growth because he's the one who's like, she understands we need to go, she's made her choice kind of thing. And not in like a callous kind of way, but it's just like, this is what she wants, and I'm going to honor that. But we need to,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
I think he's seen it more in a military kind of way. This is the choice she made. This
r-
is where she's going to go down. This is the final battle she's going to fight because
yeah.
she's going to protect these heirlooms that have seen other wars. She said there's all these items that have survived all of these other world wars. The axe that has cut down trees,
Yeah.
things like that. So I thought that little character piece was well
And
needed and nice.
just from a science fiction standpoint too, I mean, she kept mentioning places on Earth that this stuff was from.
Yeah,
It's like how we think of ancient artifacts, stuff from like, Egypt, or you know what I mean? Just like this is so old and sacred, and it's our history and our part of our humanity and where we come from. And just a simple dinky little thing from like a keyboard from the 90s from, Concord, Maine or whatever, and it's sitting there on a shelf we take for granted because it's just something that we sometimes would even consider junk or just something that's
yeah.
laying around. But to them, it's sacred because it's rich history. It's like living history. And yeah, like I get it. When she was talking about that stuff, I was like, "Go on, lady. Just good luck."
Yeah. Well, that was. I mean, there wasn't many like parts of this show this episode that I was like I didn't like.
Yeah.
Now there is one thing we'll talk about a little bit later. I think I didn't like, and it's based on a conversation we had last week.
Mm.
But we'll hold on to that for a minute. Let's go a little more in this Perez and Master Chief. Like it was fun watching them run through. I mean, we got that set again, basically where he was eating ramen. He was running through those streets again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they used that actual like location set again, which was
Yeah.
cool. And when
Like the shops.
yeah, and it's the fact that he was able to see, like he was able to figure out where the cloaked Covenant soldiers were. That
Yeah.
was when he ran, he dove and he went through that glass. I'm like, oh, it's on.
I'm curious how the, Halo faithful, the people that grew up on the video games and a lot of the time poo-poo on this, version of Halo, how they feel about, John 117 being outside. I mean, having his helmet off is one thing, not having his mech suit entirely is.
Completely gone. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when he was just not in any armor and he was able to take down that Covenant just by just being a total complete badass,
Yeah.
no armor required. That's a moment when I was like, okay, now I'm down for this guy to be our not only our protagonist, but a hero that I can look up to. Like he's defending people and not relying on the guns and the laser rifles
Mhm.
and plasma bombs and the armor that protects him. Like he's going in and doing it by himself because that's who he is. Then it clicked for me. I was like, okay, I'm on board with John
Yeah.
117 totally now because that's how I like my hero, like a little John McClane. Like he's going to
A
get
little
rough and
beaten up.
tumble, a little bit beaten up, but keeps on moving. A little Rocky Balboa, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that scene, that fight.
Well, I thought the whole thing is like I said, once again, it goes back to the humanity. It shows how much training they actually had
Hmm.
prior to actually getting their suits. It's like what kind
Yeah,
they had to have combat fighting training and everything before they get their suits because the suits I think just
just
elevate
enhance what's already there. Yeah,
their
right.
capabilities. So now we get to see what his hand to hand combat was. I mean, he fought that one guy at the end, the Arbiter, and
Yeah,
he was essentially going toe to toe with dude
he
until that
was.
one.
Oh, what a great scene that was. That's a little further in the episode, but yeah, when he picked up the Covenant weapon and they were gonna go hand to hand with those things, and the other Covenant shot him, and so the big guy, like, decapitated him because he was like, "How dare you? I was about to get into it with this guy.
That
You
was
don't
my fight.
Yeah, you don't take that cheap shot. Well, what the shit was that?" But, like, that gives you a little bit of a window into what the Covenant's like too. Apparently, they're very when it comes to, like, war and fighting, it's like a higher calling for them.
Yeah, well, we heard
Um,
earlier in the season when one of them said there's no honor in this fight.
right, yeah.
So like they take And I almost feel like they look at it the same way as the Spartans look at it. It is an honor to die on the battlefield.
Yeah.
It's not. Well, I don't want to either come home. Was it? Well, I think it was like Sparta. Either come home with your shield or come home on your shield
Yeah.
mentality.
Right.
So I don't know. I like I said, I enjoyed a lot about this whole episode essentially.
It was tough in the very beginning because I watched the little bit of recap before the episode really got going, and when they started showing little scenes of all the other characters that we've met on Reach since the beginning of the season, I was like, "Uh-oh." Thanks for the little reminder, little recap of all these people that are now potentially cannon fodder, which a lot of them were off.
Well, yeah. Well, we lost Riz,
Perez's family,
Perez's family both all passed.
yeah,
And I mean, there's two big characters we got to talk about, but
yeah,
then Riz's friends, both the
mhm,
doctor and her friend that was blind, that was, I guess, a Spartan and didn't get through the
yeah.
augmentation.
And of course, the blind guy went out like a G. He was like, "I got
Oh,
something for
he
you."
just
Just
loaded
walked
up.
up to him.
Oh, when he was told that his husband wasn't coming, he
Yeah,
just strapped up and walked right to it and just blew it to hell, and knowing he was done.
yeah,
He's like, if you took him out, I'm gonna join him, but I'm gonna take you with me type mentality, which was
right.
holy crap.
Yeah, that was a good scene too. A lot of good scenes in this episode. And one thing I wanna mention too, I did notice the seams a little bit as far as there were some CG, some editing work that looked a little off, some stuff with the fight scene with the Covenant. It was a little too shiny, a little too CG. But that being said, nothing ever took me out completely
Okay.
because there were some moments where I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a TV show and they have somewhat of a limited budget." So as far as like the wraparounds and like them hiding behind stuff and like, well, that was clearly a big like CG backdrop and like some stuff wasn't as highly polished as other stuff in the show has been, but I forgave it because I was so swept up in it, like moment to moment it was not enough for me to, like, care or really,
It didn't it
make a
didn't pull
stink
you
about
out.
it. Yeah,
Well, that's a good thing, yeah, 'cause I mean, honestly, I didn't even notice it.
yeah,
It had me full into it.
right. And some of those, panning, sweeping shots were cool. I mean, a lot of the camera work, because a lot of it was very, like, hastily shot the way as though you are somebody escaping with them, like, you're
Yeah.
following Master Chief. The camera was kinda jumbly and running and going around corners and stuff like that. It was very the way it was edited was, very cool 'cause it kinda put you in there with them.
Yeah, a lot of it was purposely done.
Yeah.
So, okay, so where do you wanna go from there? Do you wanna talk a little bit about Hal
Well
how
oh, yeah, Halsey and Soren, how about
Halsey
those
is
2?
okay, this threw me. I was like, okay, they're in a room and they're not talking to each other so much, but Soren is noticing the ripple in the cup, the tea.
Right.
And he's like, "Did you hear that?" He's more sensitive to what's going on
Yeah.
because he's kind of been out and about. But the dynamic between those two was weird. And I think it was purposely weird,
Yeah.
but like Halsey has no clue that Soren wants to kill her. And Soren doesn't even know what he wants to do
Yeah.
now that he's in the same room with her.
I liked it. I just felt it was a little rushed but almost it kinda had to be. I mean, what do you don't really have the luxury of having a long talkie scene with all this stuff going on.
As they're trying to
So,
escape.
yeah, I almost found it to be more of a necessity because they didn't have really time to take time, but that's, part of the writing too. Maybe the Soren could have been introduced, like, an episode before or something. I don't know. Maybe there's a way of doing that. Um, but yeah, it was quick, and it did feel a little weird because they really kinda rushed through the dialogue between the 2 of them and their feelings, and he seemed confused, and she seemed like, "Why is this guy just waiting around asking questions? We gotta get the hell out of here." So,
Yeah.
maybe we'll get a scene. I'm still hopeful that we'll have an actual time to breathe with those 2 later and to really kinda decompress.
Yeah, because we learned a lot
Yeah.
about Soren. I mean, pretty much he didn't escape. She let
Right.
him go.
Yeah, which makes
So,
sense, to be
yeah,
fair.
the more that she explained it, it's like, why do you think that ship wasn't guarded?
Yeah.
Uh, and then you didn't get through your argumentation because your arm injury.
Right.
We needed John. Apparently, how I read that was Soren was actually slotted to be Master Chief.
Yeah.
Since he didn't get through it, John had to be it. So she had to essentially remove him from the equation
Right.
and almost let him think that he removed himself from the equation.
That's a good point. That's a very Halsey move. Like, and that's like a kind of a clever move. And then how do you like win an argument? You let the person think that they're, got away with it or what, you know what I mean? Like that's how the person you're the person that's against you walks away thinking that they won when really, I don't know. There's a better way of saying that. You said it already, but
Well,
that like that's clever and that's a way of getting through an event like that without coming to blows.
yeah, and she goes as far as like asking about Kessel,
Mhm.
his son, and he's like, "Hold on, no, we're not doing this."
Yeah, when she did that, that was a little off the beaten path. I'm like, now's not the time, and especially coming from you. Like, what are you interested so you can steal him and turn
Yeah.
him into a soldier? Like, I mean, we all know what you've done with like kids before. It was a little creepo when she started asking about him.
But yeah, that whole situation was weird to me. And then when they actually found Cortana, and
Yeah,
Cortana said, "Run."
right. That was a shocking scene too, because as soon as she said that, she disappears, and then McKee is right behind her
Oh
and
yeah,
like
she's
stealing
holding
it.
the actual like puck that actually contains Cortana.
Yeah,
I
it
was like,
was a
okay,
scene in itself that was breathless in a breathless episode. It was done well, I thought.
it was just go, 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 go. And I
Yeah,
mean, even as far as when we get Halsey, Keys, and Soren all together in the same room,
right.
that I mean, even the interaction between them, I, I mentioned a character getting a comic relief and not knowing if he earned a comic relief. I mean, Soren's always been a hard ass to everybody. You've not
Yeah,
really given any type of. He's been one dimensional.
yeah,
And now that he's all of a sudden there and he's cracking jokes with, with Keys,
right.
I'm like, I like it. I just don't know if it fits the character we know to this point.
Well, I liked it also, and I think, if I were to speculate, it may be because he's around people that are equals, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, he would consider John like, these people are elite, and these people have been through the shit like he has, and these people have a lot of the same history that he has, and he, when his life on Rubble, he's leading a kind of a ragtag crew or whatever, and people are lying, cheating, stealing, and he kind of has to carry that persona to like get through. When he here, like, I feel like he probably deep down inside maybe misses being a Spartan. I think one of those things where it's like once a Spartan, always a Spartan kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know he ran away from it, but now that he's in the thick of it and like shoulder to shoulder with John shooting
You
that
see the
rifle,
training coming back.
you see it coming back and you see him lightening up a little bit and being like more comfortable with his surroundings almost. Like you almost see that wave of nostalgia come where he's like, "Oh, I could get used to this kind of thing."
Yeah. He's called him a pirate. He said, no, a small business owner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like,
So
that's
oh,
kind of
and yeah,
funny.
like 3 minutes ago, you called me a pirate, and you just called me a person, so we're making
We're making
progress.
process.
I
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I liked Soren 'cause honestly, the first couple episodes of the season, I was like, "Soren's kind of a dick." I didn't realize how much of just a dick he was because I liked him most of the time in the first season,
yeah.
and then I didn't really care for him the first part, but then this episode did a lot to bring me back to Soren.
Yeah, no, I've always kind of enjoyed his character, but he's been all over the place.
Yeah,
That's really the best way to go ahead and describe Soren. All over the place. Even when they're escaping and Halsey's like, "You got to come this way, trust me." And he's walking around and goes, "Shit." And he turns around because
I
he
know
knows.
because, I mean, she's right, and he hates it that she's right. I mean, he hates it that he has to follow her basically, and, yeah, you get that, like, and it would be that way because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like you hate this person, and she has such a lurid history, but at the same time, like, when the shit hits the fan, you don't want somebody like her on your side.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, a lot of this show has been, like, people against people and a lot of backstabbing and intrigue as far as like, different divisions within humanity. But right now, with a bigger threat, a lot of those walls that we build
All kind of
tend to
faded
go
away.
away
Yeah.
because it's like we have something bigger to deal with right in this moment instead of just like our history with each other or how I
We both
feel
have a
about you as a
common enemy. We
person.
need to be friends right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everybody was on the same page. You felt that this episode.
So we finally got a drop of a name that we haven't heard this season in Miranda in the
Yeah,
elevator.
finally,
We
thankfully.
we got some reference to Miranda. Now, where she is, we didn't find out because Keys wouldn't tell Halsey.
Right.
So she was off planet before any of this took place.
Oh, and you know what I just realized too is that, well, I mean, he's gone. So she may have a hard time finding out where her daughter is. I could see that being a priority for her going forward is
Kind of
finding
a
her
side,
daughter.
yes. I
Yeah.
see. I don't see that. Knowing her character, her
Yeah.
priority will be getting Cortana back.
Yeah, you're right. That's
That's
probably number 1 priority,
that's
yeah.
number one priority to her because that's her first daughter.
That's her favorite daughter. Yeah.
That's her favorite daughter. Yeah, that's the one
Alright.
she'll do anything for.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But I am curious, like, well, let's just talk about how this episode ended with the finale. I mean, we lose Keys,
we lose Keys.
which
Yeah, well, Keys has a phenomenal scene. I
oh, yeah,
mean,
he
he
does.
has one of those, and I don't. I like the scene, but I don't know if it's always necessary. All these shows, ever since Independence Day, feel like they need to have this scene.
Sure.
Did it do its job? Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is no, It's no, Independence Day.
Is that what you're comparing it to?
I have no, I have, I'm. It's impossible for me not to compare it because
Yeah,
essentially it's the same thing. You have aliens coming from space,
right.
the same type of invasion trying to take over.
Yeah.
It's what it is. Now I like the fact that he brings John up on the stage and
That's what I was gonna
introduces
say.
John and lets
Yeah,
all the other Marines know this is our Master Chief, and
right.
he's here with none of his suit because the scumbags and ION took it.
Yeah. Well, you know
And
what? Knowing how this episode ends, especially, in hindsight, this speech has that extra layer. Of course, it has on the surface, it's like, hey, we need to rally the troops here. But on another level, it's also Keyes somewhat passing the torch of leadership to John, being like, okay, you've admired this guy in the suit for this long, but I'm here to tell you that there's a man underneath that suit, and he's here with you, and that same heart that he has is in each and every one of you. Not directly saying, hey, this guy's going to be your leader from now on, but uh, at the end of the day, with Keyes gone, like, who's they going
he's
to
the
look up
last.
to?
He's the highest ranked person left on Reach.
Right. And yeah, exactly. Like, they're going to be looking to John 117 to, I don't know how this ends. I mean, do they get off planet? That's what I was going to say. Like, we have, I don't know where this goes from here because it feels like a lot of the ships have left. Um, and how much longer is John and the crew going to be on Reach?
I see. I don't know. And honestly, based on, I love watching Declassified. I watch,
Hmm.
and it gives you the preview of the following season. And just based on a little bit that they previewed without saying anything about it, I don't know how much they're going to actually focus on Reach next episode, which is
Oh, really?
disappointing.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be stuck there for a while, and I don't know how he's going to get off. And if he does get off planet, it's going to have something to do with Quan, because there's going to have to be a ship or something when she comes back to be able to get the team off planet.
Well, this whole episode, I was like, "Where's Kai?" And I thought Kai was gonna come in from
I
stage
never.
left at some point and save
Mhm.
the day. But she never shows in this episode.
She's
So
with
now I'm
Ackerson.
right. You think?
She's with Ackerson. Ackerson got in her head,
Yeah.
and she's with Ackerson. She is Ackerson's, like, and he's the type person to try to brainwash into somebody to be a bodyguard.
Yeah.
And that's what she is. She's his personal bodyguard. I don't know that for any, there's nothing that's told me that.
Yeah.
But the whole time that I watched that episode and her not being there and knowing the scenes that she had prior with
Yeah.
Ackerson and the doubt that was put into her head from him about Master Chief only makes sense that she's with him.
I can see now if I put on my writer's cap for a bit, I can see where she becomes more loyal to Ackerson until she finds out the truth. Or does she find out the truth? I mean, are they
Should
gonna
have to know the truth. If they're evacuating, everyone's leaving Reach and they put that in play,
Yeah. Okay,
should
that's
have to
too
know.
big. Yeah, that's too big to spin into something else. Like, they're
And they've
gonna
made her
have
to be a
to.
pretty smart character too, so they can't play it off as just playing she didn't know because she was ignorant to the
Right.
fact.
Well, do you think that she's so far gone that she wouldn't just steal a ship and head back to Reach so she can pick up her Spartan family? If she knows that they're back there, defending their lives?
It's possible they got her on a ship and, told her that there was a mission somewhere else. Like, they were
Yeah.
going to find, Cobalt, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
her if it was her, she's got her suit. This could be how they get her suits back. What if she
Mm,
has her suit? She's leading another Marines team, and they said, Cobalt is out here. They need backup. That was the
right.
way to get her off planet, and then she would come back and see the mess that's taking place, and she'd have access to the suits for the rest of the Spartans.
I think it's very interesting how they completely kept her out of this episode altogether, and, Master Chief just assumes that she's out doing her own thing, like, on Reach, like, defending
Yeah,
people or hunting,
I
they
know
say.
Kai. She's out hunting.
Right, yeah, so it's convenient, but at the same time, as a viewer, I'm like, "Hmm, that's weird that we're not checking in with her." So
Yes,
it is kind of a
something's
mystery
amiss
right
there.
now, which I like. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what one thing I didn't like about this episode,
Okay.
and I thought it was lazy. And we talked about it because I asked a question last week about will all the Spartans make it out of the season? And we
Mhm.
were like, okay, we gave a reason why if Riz didn't make it through the season, why we would feel that loss. We went
Right.
ahead and gave a reason. Same thing with Kai. If she didn't make it through, would feel that loss. And the one Spartan, we were like, if they kill him off,
It's too easy, just
it's
easy pick
too easy, and
yeah.
there'd be no emotional connection to it. And sure enough, they did the lazy, easy thing with Vanek going out, and I was like, I didn't like it at all.
Well, to be fair, at the beginning of those episodes, he did have that really fun, quiet conversation with those birds to really give you a good sense of who Vanek is as a person. And by the time he got that shrapnel in his chest and exploded, I really felt for the guy. Like, who's going to talk to those birds now?
Who's gonna feed them? Who's gonna argue with them? I
Yeah,
I was I was just like, I don't know. I've been very, very positive about the show because
yeah.
I've enjoyed the show, but I'm gonna call a spade a spade.
It's it
That
was
was a bad beat.
I agree. It's a little weak because you can see it plain as day when they start assigning dramatic things to Kai and assigning dramatic things to Riz, and they have their own interesting stories going on. And then they're not giving Vanek really anything besides just hanging around and waiting to do something. Like, oh shit! I was hoping that that was not going to be his fate, but at the same time, like, I mean, what else do you do? You were clearly the writing was driving us to that point. And it's enough to give John a little bit of drama and
I would
reason to
have
go on, but
I like Riz a lot more than I like Fennec. I would have rather Riz taken the bullet this episode because,
yeah,
like I said, she's a massive part of the show, and I
yeah,
really like her character. There's a lot of dimensions to her character.
right.
For that, saying that, that would have been the emotional. Holy crap! Did they just do this? Because the best shows don't hold on to their characters like they're invincible. And if they are in a
Mhm.
military type
Yeah.
show and you're fighting and you're not in armor that you're used to being in, I would have rather seen her fall and given us time to actually have a connection to Vanek if he was
Yeah.
going to die. Because if she would have went down, it would have just been Vanek. It would have been Master Chief.
Mhm.
Now, yeah, that's how I would have preferred it going down. Now I'm kind of curious to see how they move forward.
Yeah, you're right. That would have been definitely more of an impactful hit if we lost Riz. And at the same time, I'm kind of glad it didn't happen that way because I do like Riz and I'm curious where she goes from here, especially after losing these people that she's grown close
Yeah.
with here on Reach. So it's not like it's what we have going forward with Riz is going to be uninteresting or something. I am looking forward to seeing how she progresses. But the same thing could have been said with, like, Vanek, like, if we lose Riz and we have that emotional impact, maybe it's time for Vanek that we learn more about him, and maybe he had, to reveal some relationship stuff that he had, and how is he dealing with that loss, like, because Riz and Vanek were together a lot too. So it would have given him something to do, but the fact that they portrayed Vanek so jokey, this entire time, it feels like maybe that would have been a bridge too far for that character. I don't know, but you're right. It does feel a little lazy.
But I mean, the most impactful death in this episode, they weren't shy to give us death
No.
this episode, which I, it's always a good thing a show does. If a show,
Mhm.
like I said, doesn't hold on to their characters tight, and if there's a good narrative reason for them to die,
Yeah.
go ahead and do it. And when Keys went out, I felt that one. I
Yes, me
felt
too.
when Keys went, I was like, and I seen it happening. It was like when he went out and he had to disconnect the gas from the ship. I was
Right.
like, okay, at that point, it's like, okay, maybe he's gonna get in and out and be fine. But the minute you seen
The little vapors
like,
coming out, you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
poop. I know what he's doing."
well, yeah, when he disconnected it and you seen the vapors, I was like, yep,
Yeah.
we know where this is going. And
I it pointed the way because not only did his speech have that, little kind of passing the torch like, "Hey, let me introduce you to Master Chief, who he really is." But there was also Master Chief himself saying how important you are, and we need you out there to continue to lead us. Like, it was really laying
yeah,
it on thick. I should at that point have been like, "Oh crap!" Like Keys isn't long for this world after that. But I was thrown into it too. I was like, just shaking my head, agreeing with John. Like, yeah, you're right. Keys
you
does
got
need
to
to get
stay
the hell
here.
out of
You got
here.
to lead
Yeah,
us. Yeah,
he's very important. You're right. Get on that ship and get the heck out of here. And then when it happened, and how they brought in Perez to kind of be the person that had to make the choice to save the civilians instead of staying
yeah.
there,
And I
with
loved her
the admiral.
like her wrestling with the decision. She didn't want to leave him.
Hmm.
She was ordered to leave him and
Right.
get all these people to safety. And I almost thought this was going to happen. I thought they were going to take off and they were going to get shot down.
Oh gosh.
I thought that ship wasn't going to make it out regardless.
Yes. You are
But
really wanting this episode to be a bummer.
I just I want I feel they need to go live at I mean, I got to feel it. And
Yes.
if both Keys went down and Perez went down, that would have been you would have felt like holy crap. It would
I
have been
got
an episode
yeah.
that you would have remembered. And I think this
Yeah.
is an episode you're going to remember. But now we have to see how the rest of it plays out.
I get that. I think if they made some of the choices you're saying, that definitely would have been more impactful. But at the same time, I do recognize that, like, how many episodes are in this season? Like, this
Eight,
felt like a
yeah.
finale. Like, this episode was so big and such a game changer that it almost kind of felt like a season finale, which we're only halfway through the season. So that's a big deal.
I just thought of something. So our Spartans don't have their armor.
Right.
Who is left still on Reach that may know of spare armor? Halsey.
Um, oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
Halsey
yeah.
Halsey is still on planet. Halsey just seen John Riz come up at the end when Perez punched it and everything blew up. They
Hell,
were
even
behind the door.
get some armor for Soren too. Suit up.
I guarantee that there's armor
Yeah.
somewhere that she knows about
Right.
for the Spartan program because they weren't their only Spartans. Who else had armor? Cobalt team.
Mm-hmm.
Cobalt
Right.
team had armor. There's a lot of other Spartan teams apparently that weren't the head, and Silver team was the team. So
Or
I
it could even be like a Power Rangers moment, like, "Oh, by the way, here's our super secret experimental armor that we were working on that it was just shelved, and here's your super duper upgraded suits." So, like, it could be something like I don't that's a little cheesy, but I mean, you've seen that kind of thing in like science fiction and in video games, especially. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you've beaten this level. You think you're hit your rock bottom. Well, here's some new armor for you to like jump into battle with.
And have some like heavy metal playing in the background while they're sliding around, cutting
Right?
people
Yeah.
up.
+1 toughness, +1 speech. All that stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
But as a whole, man, I enjoyed this one. Like I have a habit of messaging you and Christopher immediately and saying, and not meaning to give anything away, but I'm like, maybe like last week, I think I pumped up the episode higher than you thought. This week,
Yeah.
I just said, Halo, great episode. And then I gave a little bit, had nothing to do with any spoilers, and I left it be.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed watching it. I didn't get to watch it until only a couple hours ago, and I was riveted the whole time. I mean, I didn't pause it. I didn't look at my phone. I was just like
Yeah.
from beginning to end. And then when we finally hit the credits, I was like, "Damn!" I said out loud, I was like, "Oh, damn!" I was like, "I can't wait! I can't wait for next episode. This is gonna be great." I love where this season has taken us so far.
And I think I added in our note because like I said, I watched the Declassified. Once again, we're not sponsored by them in any way, but I would absolutely go ahead and say watch it because it gives you an interview with both Vanek. It gives
Yeah.
you with Keys, but it also goes in. It dropped a little nugget that goes a long way in why I think this season's better. They have a different showrunner this
Mm.
season than they did last season, and you can almost feel it.
I think so too. I think you can kind of feel that. Knowing that in the background, and this season does feel different in that, you could have chalked that up to be like, well, the show's just finding its footing between season 1 and season 2. They don't need to waste time or spend a lot of time introducing the world or the characters. We're just kind of hit the ground running. And there has been some of that too, but maybe a lot of that new feeling has to do with somebody who's taken the reins over. That could be too. So,
And just kind of spinning it maybe a different way or portraying
right.
it a different way. But yeah, I thought that was pretty. Once they said that and I heard that, I'm like, okay, I can see that now.
Yeah. Overall, a really great episode. We're gonna be here next week to talk episode 5. I don't know where we go from here, but I try to stay pretty spoiler free, even though I'm sure that the majority of the stuff is out there, the overall story.
I
And
seen something Halo, the history of on YouTube, and I was so tempted to watch it,
oh
and
boy,
I stayed away.
oh good. And I never gave that series that much credit. You and I were more into like Mass Effect, where it's very story
Yeah.
driven. And I just kind of assumed
Well,
that Halo
let's call a
wasn't
spade
as
a
story.
spade. We were dog shit at online games.
Right. Well, that's what I assumed Halo just was, and
Yeah, a
that's all
lot
I
of it,
ever
yeah.
heard. Like, "Hey, let's just, join a battlefield and shoot each other," and, that's what I assumed Halo that's what people got out of it, but I didn't know there was, like, an actual story to the damn thing.
Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
realize there was so much that went with it either. I knew of the network parties and everyone would bring their Xbox and
yeah,
connect so they can all kind of play together, and I knew
right.
of all of that, and it wasn't my thing because I got so angry at playing online that I rage quit.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Um,
having, like, a 10-year-old talk trash to me, I was like, "I'm not having it."
yeah, you really miss that side of
Yeah.
Halo just watching this show. They need some, like, 10-year-olds to, like, really, I
Just
don't
start
know,
yelling,
making
insults at
fun
your
of you.
mother.
Yeah, doing the little what is it where you go bend over the deceased
"Oh, you're
body and you
teabagging us?"
yeah. Why we haven't seen any teabagging in this show. That's why people hate it. Dang it. They
Oh,
really need to get
man.
on that.
A little bit of levity.
But we'll be back next Friday to talk episode 5. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and we would love to see it. We have all kinds of stuff that we do on this channel. We do these after shows for all kinds of different shows. I know House of the Dragon is going to be coming back. You and I are definitely
Mhm.
going to cover that. And there's all kinds of fun stuff that's coming up here. There's actually, there was a bit of a hiatus where, there was the strike, the actors strike, and it seemed like a lot of stuff was doomed. And I think a lot of stuff that was slated for the last few months is now kind of getting scheduled and put out there, which is a lot of fun for us.
Yeah, just
Um,
kinda
s-
watching because we were gonna do Shogun, but Shogun overlapped with this, and
oh,
it's
I'm going to be watching Shogun
oh, yeah, I'm
regardless.
watching Shogun, yeah, no, regardless.
Yeah,
Avatar: Last Airbender, I mean, that's hard because it's on Netflix. We've always had difficult with those shows.
yeah.
That's another one I'm actually enjoying right now.
Oh,
So,
Sandman season 2. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of
mhm.
stuff. I shouldn't even mention it because you were gonna go off
Yep.
about it.
Yeah. I almost did. I almost said
Yeah.
something. You know what? Before we
Yeah.
even get too far into this, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next Friday night as we talk episode 5 of Halo.
All right. See you next week.